Pep Guardiola's Man City side are averaging 5 goals per game at home this season, but they lost their last game. Could it be back-to-back defeats for Man City? Are we living in fantasy land? Let's dive into this game. Man City against Brighton, who the feeling around them, I think, is getting sucked down to the floor, down to the results, which I totally understand. But when Man City a week ago were so frightening because they were just destroying absolutely everyone. When I was thinking about a team that could stop them, Brighton were one of the teams that I thought could have the gumption, the ambition to get on the ball and to stop Man City from that point of view, to stay up high at the pitch and have a little go. Because so many teams, I think, are beaten before they even play Man City. Do you think I'm living in this fantasy land? Or do you think Brighton could actually do something in a game like this?
There's a method to your madness in this one. I'm going to have to quietly agree. I think what you said is nailed on. Brighton will have a go. They're not going to be scared of City, and De Zerbi's teams always have a go. My only thing is, under De Zerbi, they are struggling for goals, and I think part of the reason for that is they can't play out from the back. So they've got Solly March playing off the right-hand side. He's not suited to that side, and they've unlocked Trossard to an extent. But then Lallana and Pascal Gross, who are playing as like 210s, just doesn't really have any... They're not frightening. I think the thing that frightens City is pace. And I look at that team and I go, there's not a lot of pace in that side. So you won't be able to clip the ball around the side and get your striker chasing after it. I don't completely think that City are going to dominate like they often do, mainly because we've seen Brighton do this for the last 18 months, where they will create chances, they will create moments, because they have very smart sequences of how they like to attack. The problem is they don't score enough goals, and you won't beat Man City, especially away from home, without at least scoring 2 goals.
Because they are frightening at home, Man City, this season. I mean, Erling Haaland as well, obviously coming into this game, he still, he drew a blank in the last game, but we'll let it go because he scored 10 goals in his last 5 home matches. They are so good at home. Do you expect Man City to bounce back? And do you expect Brighton to set up in a similar way to Liverpool? Because, of course, they got a result.
It's going to be interesting because De Zerbi, one thing that he made clear in his initial press conference is that he wants his team to be brave, bold and ambitious on the ball. And in his first game in charge against Liverpool, we saw that. We haven't seen that since. They haven't been able to score a goal since. And they're struggling for results, but they have probably been the better team in most of the games that they've played. That is the way that Brighton play. Brighton are the better team in most of the games they play, apart from when they play the elite sides in the division. I don't think they can take any solace from what Liverpool did because they're set up completely differently. And I think De Zerbi's got a choice to make as well. Traditionally, at his previous clubs, especially at Sassuolo, he played with 4 at the back. At Brighton, he's kind of changed that and adapted it. He doesn't want to rock the apple cart. He's persistent with the 3 at the back that Graham Potter implemented to suit the players and personnel that he's got. I don't necessarily think that suits the way they play football, and I think that could lead them astray, especially against Man City, who will have most of the ball and will be in spaces that can hurt Brighton.
But will they have most of the ball?
Without a doubt. I just don't think Brighton will aim and set out to play as progressive as possible, but Man City have just got better players all around the park, and I think that De Zerbi and Brighton are maybe on the end of a hiding come the weekend.
Where do you think Brighton can actually win this game or potentially cause City problems?
I think Trossard, if you think of Man City and how you can hurt them, I think you have to be brave. I think what Liverpool did in terms of keeping the opposition, in terms of that press that wasn't that full press that you see with Liverpool, but they kept Man City in their own half. That is not something that you see. Newcastle did a similar thing where they kind of had a go. The problem you have here is that Man City are playing at home. So you don't have that extra little bit of vigour that comes from being the home side. But I think they have to be brave. And I think with Cancelo playing as a, let's say, right back, but he's not playing as a right back. Essentially, you're playing Ake, Akanji and Diaz in the middle. And Cancelo so high up. I think he was further than De Bruyne in the game against Liverpool. There is space in behind him. And Trossard is that exciting player for them. 4.03 shot creating actions per 90 this season. That's the best that he's done this season. He's also receiving 6.3 progressive passes, which essentially means that Brighton are a team that are able to get the ball to him, but he's also be able to get into those areas of space and keep a hold of the ball once he gets it. And I think that's an impressive thing. If you're looking to be brave, brave and trying to get Man City to turn around and face their own goal, which I think is important.
The thing is, everything you said aligns with exactly how Brighton will play. My thing is the teams that have troubled City. Newcastle had St. Maximin that day, who was absolutely on form and he's rapid. Liverpool have Salah, who's absolutely on form and rapid. I look at Brighton and I go, Trossard isn't rapid. He's a great technician, a phenomenal technician. But he's not someone that can just sort of like hang behind Cancelo, get the ball and run. Because City do have athletes at the back. So then it comes to a question of, do Brighton try and take the lead and then sit in? Can they do that? I don't know if they can. So then how do you actually navigate around City? The other thing as well is Erling Haaland didn't score against Liverpool. Technically speaking, hasn't scored in his last two because he didn't play against Copenhagen. How is that feeling for him?
Is that in his last two? You're checking that in there? Wow.
Down.
We're struggling
I do think that the way, if you want to make a case of Brighton, is getting Gross and Trossard in those half spaces to make Man City defenders think and come out of position that they're more comfortable in. But I just don't see it happening. I think Man City will have too much of the ball, and it will take Brighton, like you say, taking the lead for them to have any chance at the Etihad, because I think that Man City is just too dominant. And like you said, Haaland's got a point to prove. The man's scored in one game, and now everybody's the pigs are flying. The world is ending because Erling Haaland hasn't scored. So I think that Brighton are going to be in for a tough test, but if they are to beat Man City, then they're going to have to take the lead.
I think that's huge as well. The big thing I think that's important when I'm talking about this bravery is allowing the right players for Man City to have the ball. Ake, I think the most touches for Man City, which it often is those guys, but it was Ake, Rodri, and Akanji. But then De Bruyne I think had 25 touches maybe in the first half. So I think it's kind of keeping it back there. And De Zerbi, they will look to push on and do that. I think you've got a point in the fact that can they play direct enough, and do they have the... You've got a willing runner in Welbeck who can also hurt in behind a right back or right winger in Cancelo as well. But can they play direct enough and get enough bodies forward to flood and get that first goal? Because I think, as you said, that first goal is crucial. You have to get the first goal to win against Man City, in my opinion.
That sort of triggered a thought. If you think back to the Brighton United game, Brighton actually went long that game, and they haven't done that before. And because Welbeck is actually like a proper athlete, he can hold it up, he's physical,
can run the channels.
About, he runs the channels, he has got that in his game. I'd be tempted to sort of like throw the ball up to him a few times, try and pick up the second balls, because you've got Gross and Lallana in there who are fabulous technicians, and then see if you can get Solly March around the outside. Solly March does embody everything about Brighton. He gets in the right positions all the time, but he doesn't score many goals. And then see if you can do it the other side of Trossard. The difference, I think, and a big difference is City and Pep tinkered before the Liverpool game because they have the most respect for Liverpool and thought, if we do this, we can navigate around this. I think he literally just goes back to that 4-3-3, back to playing De Bruyne the way he wants to play because he's playing off on the right. He's basically playing as a right winger against Liverpool.
But I think he was forced to do that because of that smart press.
Right? I just wonder, do Brighton have the players to execute a plan like that? I don't think they do.
And I think it's quite important you hark back to the Manchester United game. The physicality of Danny Welbeck definitely affected Lisandro Martinez in that game. I think the Man City centre-backs are maybe a little bit more well-suited to dealing with Danny Welbeck. It's going to be a struggle, and it's the age-old question of Brighton is like, when are they going to get a striker who actually scores goals? And I don't know if that's going to be answered this season or not, but I just think it's going to be very difficult for them to get anything at Man City.
Let's get the predictions in. Predictions on the scoreline and how many Haaland will score. I'm going to go for a blank for Haaland. That's right, he is human. Because you've got some big bodies in there, and I think they'll keep the ball away a decent amount. But I still think Man City might just sneak it because they're at home. I think this will be... I'm going to go 2-1 Man City. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Man City are going to dominate Brighton. I think it's going to be 4-0 Man City. Ooh. I think Haaland gets a brace.
Wow. I think you've gone with Haaland struggle because you love Lewis Dunk. Don't even shy away from
Webster,
that.
it's more Webster.
Hey, it just moves around that back three. Webster's flavour of the month. I will go 2-0 City. I think Brighton will do what they do. They'll cause a few problems. And I think Haaland scores the opener.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN+.